Hello, this is Tinka Long, and this is my integrated arts portfolio video. I do not have a set theme for all of the activities, either combined. Some of them do have a theme themselves, and some of the activities are connected, which will be explained. This first activity, the visual arts activity, is connected to the multicultural activity at the end. But for this, the visual arts, children will be making personal collages with some of their favorite toys, activities, and media, and I will supply magazines, pictures, and stickers and activity sheets that children can cut out and paste on their slips of paper. Instead of having regular sized pieces of paper, I will have smaller sized cutout pieces of construction paper. Sorry, my dog. For them to visualize and plan how to put their pictures and stickers on the collages. So, I will introduce the activity like this. Hi friends, we are going to be making something today that you may or may not have made before. So do any of you know what this is? Yes, it is a collage. So since we have been learning about our friends during our All About Me theme, we are going to create some collages with pictures and stickers of things that make us ourselves unique. What makes you special? So for example, I love the fall season and the colors of the leaves. So can you find any picture on here that may show you that I love the fall? Yeah, right there at the bottom. Perfect. So on your collages, you could include a picture of, let's say, a basketball, if you like basketball. And what are some other things that you could include? I will give a minute or two for some ideas, and we can talk about pictures or stickers that could go on their collages if they like a certain item or activity. And then to wrap up the, guided instruction, I know we don't need to worry about all of that, but to wrap up the time that we all do it together, I will point out one more thing on here, like swimming. I love to swim, so I have a lot of pictures of swimming and water, and I also love to cook, so I have all of these pictures up here of food and myself eating food, which hasn't changed. So that is for the visual arts all together part. And then when they go on their own, they are going to make their personal collages, which will be smaller. And I will remind them that, like my collage, theirs does not have to be perfect, doesn't have to be straight, it can be all over the place. Pictures can be placed any way they like, so long as they stay on the square piece of paper. Sound good? Okay. So, yes, they will work by themselves to cut out and paste whatever they feel fit on the collages, and I will walk around and have many discussions with them about why they chose certain things, and maybe if they want to share it later, I'll tell them that we're going to share later and they can explain it to other people. So at the end, we will come back together, sit on the rug without our materials, and we will just discuss a few people's things that they enjoyed and what they put on the collages. And I will make sure to ask, does anybody else like this, like to swim? Raise your hand. And then we can see whose hand is up, and we can keep doing this for the few students that we who share, and then we can talk about how people's hands go up and down to show what we have in common and what is different from us and how we are all unique. So you can kind of see where that will tie in with multicultural. when it comes time to that activity. So, for the musical integrated arts, we will do rhyming by the bay. And that is when children will use rhyming words, which we have been working on, to come up with some of their own words that rhyme to incorporate into the verses for the song. So, thanks for joining me on the carpet, friends. We will introduce some vocabulary words such as songwriter and lyric to explain to them how we're going to come up with our own lyrics by rhyming words and adding them to the song. So if I want to sing about a cat, what could I rhyme with cat? I will give them a few seconds to give some answers. Mat, rat, sat. And then I will say, okay, so in the song it says, have you ever seen a blank doing blank? So I would say, okay, so for cat, have you ever seen a cat squatting on a mat down by the bay? Okay. Are you all ready to clap, sing, and become songwriters? So first we need to learn our song lyrics that we're going to add to. So now is when I would pull up the lyrics to the song on the interactive whiteboard if we were in the classroom. And we would sing, well, we would read the lyrics all together. I would read it and they would echo it. And then we would sing it one time all together. Down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go. For if I do, my mother would say, have you ever seen a blank doing a blank down by the bay? Now, where I said blank, that's when you make up your own lyric. Mine would be, have you ever seen a hog sitting on a log down by the bay? So once we make the lyric, we end it with down by the bay and start over for our next songwriter. I'm going to sing each line and you all are going to echo after me after I sing it, okay? Let's try it with my words, hog and log. Can you repeat those words for me? Hog and log. Great. So, down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go. For if I do, my mother would say, have you ever seen a hog sitting on a log down by the bay? And then we would repeat it as we go around. Okay, friends. So now it's time for you to think of some words that you would use. Our first person, you go ahead and start. So for this part, I will have students, when it's their turn, to say the first word they want to use, the word that they're going to rhyme it with, and then we will repeat the words so that we know. And then we are going to sing through it, and since the song is set up where they can echo, I will say the words. For the first few people, I will say the words, and then they can echo. And then as the activity progresses, I can leave out the rhyming word, let's say, the second word, and they can try to recall what that word was. And then depending on how well they're recalling the words that we're using to rhyme to complete the song, I can leave out both words. So the hog and the log. Have you ever seen a sitting on a? And then they can fill in the blanks. And their participation will be noted in observational notes. So, for our integrated arts lesson plan for dance, we would be doing the cha-cha slide, but we would be focusing on math and counting our hops. So to begin the lesson or activity, we would be already seated all together on the reading carpet, and we would review counting and numbers 1 through 10. If the children are a little bit more advanced, maybe up to 15, but we would make sure that we shouted out some random numbers between 1 and 10 or 15. and we can count to them and make sure that we can all count to 10. So that would be one of the numbers that we would need to count to. And then we can briefly talk about the directions of left and right, because that is part of the cha-cha slide. And I remember when I was in preschool, this is for preschool, I'm sorry. I remember when I was in preschool, and that's how I learned my left from my right. And I know that that is a skill that children should know at some point in the early years. So when it comes time to stand up before we play the song, we are going to go over sliding, reversing, and then the left and right directions. So I will model the moves and directions before and along with them, and this should only take about a minute. So when we slide, we're going to slide. We're going to take one foot, pick it up, and slide. And then to go to the other side, we pick up the other foot and slide. We kind of drag that foot, right? And then we can do reverse. So we just do one hop backwards. Turn back. And then the left and right. As this is for preschool, they may not know their letters yet. So I would just focus more on pointing. So left, right, and then we can practice sliding and just stepping to the left and right maybe 3 times each. Then we can play the song, and the song is fun because we can hop, do the moves that we reviewed, and look at left and right. And then when it comes time to do hops after, I think, the second or third time that he sings it, we can pause where he says, blank hops right now, pause. And then we can say, a random number like, 6 hops this time. And then we can do counting aloud, which we would do throughout the song. When it comes time to count the hops, we'll count aloud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we can play. And then it would be 6 stomps this time, right? Because it's the same number. So you'd have to pause again, 6 stomps this time, and stop with whatever foot is directed. And then when we are done with the song, we can end with the discussion, count one more time, 1 through 10 or 15, and we can see who knows their right from their left. And then as a means to engage them more, I would ask them which movement was their favorite, and then say, well, we can dance to this again sometime soon. So that is how we would end that. For our storytelling arts activity, I would have the story for the 3 Little Pigs, as well as puppets that I made for another studio activity, or I think it was the YouTube project, yes. So I've made more puppets, and I would introduce the activity with Dexter the dog, because the students would already know who he was. So this is Dexter, and I think he was in my YouTube project. And I would engage them by saying, this is Dexter, but he doesn't want to be called Dexter today. He wants to be called Dex, because that sounds more like a big bad wolf's name. So can everyone say eek for our big bad wolf, Dex? Eek. And that's how we can introduce Dex. And then I can ask children, where do we know a big bad wolf from? Because that's one of Dexter's favorite stories. Can you guess? Yes, Dex wants you to guess which story he's talking about, who he wants to be the big bad wolf from which story. And children can have a few seconds to think and answer. The 3 Little Pigs. Yes, the 3 Little Pigs. Okay, so let's see if we have 3 Little Pigs here as well. We have Dex. Oh. We have this little guy, do we have 3 pigs yet? So I would ask each time just so we can review counting really quick as well, numbers. Oh, we have another pig. Do we have 3 pigs yet? No, okay. Let's see. What about now? Yes, we have 3 pigs now. 3 little pigs. And our big bad wolf, Dex. He has a name for this. So then we can tell the story. And the story I have on my phone because I did not know how to share a screen while recording. Okay. The 3 little pigs. Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs. They were brave, they were bold, but they weren't very big. One fine day, the little pigs set off to see the world. Always look out for the big bad wolf, said their mother. He's bad, he's big, and he'd love to eat a tasty little... What? She didn't say. The 3 little pigs hadn't gone far when they met a man carrying a heavy load of straw. I could build a very fine house with that straw, said the first little pig. And he did. The 2 little pigs set off, leaving their brother at his house of straw. Before long, a man came by with sticks on his back piled so high. I could build a very fine house with those sticks, said the second little pig. And she did. The last little pig set off, leaving his sister at her house of sticks. Soon he met a man carrying a load of bricks. I could build a very fine house with those bricks, said the third little pig. I could build a very fine house with those bricks. And he did. Meanwhile, who was creeping up to the house of straw? It was the big bad wolf. Little pig, let me come in, he growled. What do you think the little pig would do? You think he's gonna let in the big bad wolf? No, I don't know. Let's see. No, not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I won't let you in, squeaked the first little pig. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down, roared the wolf. And he did. That was the end of the first little pig. Help, he's saying. And what was the second house made out of? We had straw. Yes, we had sticks next, I think. Let's see what will happen next. Next, the wolf crept up to the house of sticks. Little pig, let me come in, he growled. No, not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I won't let you in, squeaked the second little pig. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down, roared the wolf. And he did. And that was the end of the second little pig. Next, the wolf crept up to the house of bricks. Little pig, let me come in, he growled. No, not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I won't let you in, squeaked the third little pig. So the wolf huffed, and he puffed, And he huffed and he puffed, but he couldn't blow down the house of bricks. "Little pig," called the wolf, "be ready at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we'll gather some tasty turnips." The little pig knew that the wolf planned to eat him, so off he set at 5 o'clock. He filled his basket with tasty turnips and hurried home for 6 o'clock. "Bother," growled the wolf. So I would continue that story, even though it ends kind of harshly. But that is how the story would end. And that's how the activity would go. I would storytell with our friends, our puppets. And to conclude, we would give everyone a big round of applause for our actors, our puppets. And I would announce a question for them to think about for later on in the day. And that would be the dramatic arts activity, because they would be imagining themselves as the fourth little pig, coming up with a material to build their house against the big bad wolf. So this is what I would say. So, what was the house made of that did not get blown down by Dex? Ah, right. It was made of bricks. I wonder if we could think of some other materials that we could use to build a house for a fourth pig. Hold on to that thought. You will have the chance to act it out later. Okay. So here we are. It's actually the next one. Dramatic arts. And this is the fourth little pig. So children will recall basic events from the three little pigs from earlier in the day to act out scenarios for a fourth little pig during the dramatic playtime. So this will be free play, but with dramatic props. They can choose materials for house building and dress up from the dramatic play box, and an additional thematic prop box that is specific for the three little pigs. And they can choose to play with others, playing as multiple pigs and the wolf, or just by themselves as the fourth pig. So before allowing children to play freely with the props, we will review the basic Three Little Pigs storyline, the house materials that were used, and the wolf's big bad saying, because I always thought it was fun, plus it'll help with recollection of the story. When finished, we will briefly review some materials that they used and other observations that I want to share with the whole group about their play. I will ask them to give themselves a pat on the back, or maybe they can do a group bow for being great actors and actresses. And then I can close with, do you think you remember the story better now that you got to act it out? Isn't it fun to act out our stories? See how we made a different ending? And that can help them with writing their own stories or events, recalling story events and how a story is played out. So, for the multicultural integrated arts lesson plan, this was connected to the first visual arts lesson. Children will present their collages and paste their collages under their headshots that are already attached to a banner. They will also answer any questions that myself or peers have for them regarding culture and home languages. Children, yes, I rewrote that. Okay. So I would introduce the lesson like this. We are going to learn more about each other today. Some of us were born in different parts of the world, or maybe their families were. Some of you, or your families, may speak another language other than English at home. Do you remember when you made your All About Me collages earlier? You are going to show and tell us about some things on your collage and anything else you did not put on there that you want to share with us. If we ask you questions, you can either answer them or say you do not wish to share. Either is fine with me, and the same goes for if you don't know. If you don't know, just say, I don't know. And that will be good. I will start first with my collage and explain where I was born, raised, and that I can speak some languages. So, that was kind of just to explain to you what I was going to do. But here's what I would have done right after saying that they don't have to share if they're not comfortable with it. Comfortable is too big of a word, so I'm not going to use comfortable. So I would say I was born in Bulgaria, and I was able to use pictures of my own. So this is actually a picture of me in Bulgaria. But I did not grow up in Bulgaria. I grew up here in America. And in Maryland, right here. And I don't speak any languages at home with my family, but I know English, and I've taught myself a little bit of Bulgarian, the language that comes from where I was born. And I grew up taking Spanish classes for most of my life in school. So I can speak Spanish a lot better than I can speak Bulgarian, but not as good as I can speak English. English is my first language in this sense. So then children will take turns presenting their collages and answering any other questions that we have for them if they are comfortable with it. And then as they go to attach their collages to the banner, we will pause and, maybe we can help them find their heads using left and right or pointing. And then the presentations can continue just so that we don't interrupt anybody or get distracted. So, after everyone has presented, we will discuss some of the places, cultures, families, and languages we heard our friends present. Then we will come up with a title for our banner, and I will write it on top. After hours, I will add arms and legs to the bodies and hang the banner outside of the classroom for anyone in the building to view. And that is the end of my portfolio. For the multicultural lesson plan, it is for kindergartners. For the dramatic arts, it is preschool. For storytelling, it is also preschool, as is the dance and movement arts integration, preschool. And the musical arts integration and the visual arts integration are for kindergarten. And that is it, I think.